Welcome back to Homestead Corner. I'm Ginny, and today I have got a list of medical must-haves for your prepping supply. Having a good supply of medical supplies is really, really important. We all know that every day accidents happen, stuff happens, and we need to be ready for those things. And in an emergency, it is no different, except in an emergency, there can be much bigger accidents. We're going to be doing things in a long-term situation. We would be doing things that we don't normally do every day. And we could definitely have some real big accidents. And we also get sicknesses, cuts and scrapes can turn into big problems. So I think it's really important to take a little bit of time and go over our medical supplies. Make sure that we have everything that we absolutely have to have. Some things we can use, others, a lot of people will keep a tourniquet, but you can use other things. You could use a belt, you could use, a ripped piece of cloth, whatever. There are some things that you do not necessarily have to have, but they're nice to have. This list that I put together, I think, are absolute necessities for your medical kit. And the first one would be gauze and bandages. Gauze, lots of it, lots of gauze and bandages. I think those are super duper important to have in your supplies, and you should have a decent supply of it. You can use other things to help out with that, but having nice sterile stuff so you know you're going to be able to treat wounds properly is really important. The next thing I have on my list is antibiotic cream. You can get these creams all over the place. Triple antibiotic cream, all these creams. They're not expensive at all, but we absolutely should have it so we can treat cuts and scrapes and things like that, and make sure that they are clean and not getting infected, and keeping them protected with these creams. The next thing I think is important in your medical supplies is non-prescription painkillers. They are really helpful in lots and lots of situations. I know back when I was a teenager, which was, a few years ago, but they used to prescribe these heavy duty, crazy painkillers for having your wisdom teeth removed. I had mine out when I was like 15, and they put me on these really heavy duty painkillers. And good Lord, I couldn't even lift my head up when I took them. They were horrible. And I don't like medication anyway. It's just not my thing. I have to really have a problem to even take Advil. But more recently, a few years ago, when I had foot surgery, the doctor prescribed a painkiller, and I do not like them. So he also told me that I could take 800 milligrams of Advil, and he prescribed that as well. They have a prescription one that's 800 milligrams, but you can take 800 milligrams of Advil yourself at home, and it's okay. I wouldn't recommend doing it all the time, but for pain, definitely. And I got through an entire foot surgery, healing, the whole thing, on Advil. I mean, other than what they gave me for pain medicine at the hospital, I didn't take any other. So having those non-prescription painkillers definitely can be so helpful in a time when someone is wounded or hurt in some way. So I definitely recommend having those on hand and a good, decent supply of them. The next thing would be antiseptic wipes. I think they are really important. They're quick and easy. If you've got them in your medical supplies, it can be really helpful to make sure that a wound is nice and clean before you treat it. And those are really not expensive, something you should have in there. Antiseptic wipes are super helpful. You could use alcohol, other things, but those antiseptic wipes really are wonderful to have in your supplies. Some sort of antihistamine also would be wonderful to have in your supplies. It definitely you can get bit by spiders, bit by, bees, wasps, hornets, anything like that. You could have an allergic reaction to something if you're out foraging. I have touched things before and got rashes. I shouldn't have touched them. Sometimes you have to be really extremely careful. And if you're not sure of something, it can turn into a big deal. And having an antihistamine like a Benadryl type thing really is a wonderful thing to have to help you get through that, and could be life-saving. We use Benadryl for one of our dogs. He gets really, really bad, like mosquito bites, any kind of bug bites. He swells up. Our little miniature dachshund, he swells up like crazy, and we just cut down a Benadryl. The vet recommended it because he had a really bad reaction to a shot. And so it has worked really well over the years for us, having Benadryl not only for us, but also for our pets. Hand sanitizer is another one, some sort, even if it's like hand sanitizing wipes or just a bottle of hand sanitizer, especially if you've got to take care of someone else's cuts. You want to make sure your hands are super duper clean. You don't want to be transferring any kind of bacteria or anything like that. So hand sanitizer, definitely you want to be able to clean up afterwards if you're treating a wound, and before as well. So hand sanitizer is another one that I think is a must have. Antibiotics are another thing I think are must haves in your emergency supplies. I know a lot of times people struggle with getting antibiotics, and they will turn to like fish antibiotics, and they are literally the same thing, but for the same price. With the rise of telemedicine and everything, Jace Medical is out there, and I think they are an amazing company. We have their products and antibiotics for our family, and they have recently started doing antibiotics for children a few months ago, which is wonderful because you and your child may need different antibiotics. You obviously are going to need different strengths, and you really don't want to guess at anything like that. So being able to have those antibiotics on hand, it is a bit of an investment to get started and get the kit, but you get 5 different antibiotics, and you can order them one time a year per person, so you know that you have them. But there are lots of ways to store them, and they are going to last for years if you keep them in an airtight, cool, dark, dry environment. So you don't have to keep repurchasing them, but you would be able to if you use them and you need more. You could get more, which is wonderful. Sometimes we can't get to the doctors. They don't have an opening. We have no way to get there. There can definitely be lots of situations where you would need an antibiotic for an infection of some sort, and you may not be able to get to the doctors, and having them on hand in those situations, I think, is really, really. And the last thing that I think is a must-have in your medical supplies is instructions. You may be very well practiced in doing first aid and wrapping a splint or a broken bone or something like that, but if you're the one that gets hurt and someone else has to do it, you want to have instructions in your medical supplies. I think that is so important. We also have moments where the anxiety is high, we get really excited, and we forget stuff, and we can't quite remember how that's supposed to be done. So the instructions could be helpful in that situation. But I really think that instructions, because if you're the one that gets hurt and someone else has to do it and they don't know what they're doing, if there's instructions, they could probably get through it and help you, possibly save you, which would be an amazing and wonderful thing. So don't discount those instructions. You might know how to do it, but if you're the one that gets hurt and you can't treat it yourself, someone else may have to with your supplies. So really keeping a small little booklet or some sort of handwritten instructions for each little thing would be extremely helpful for you, and you you know, you may not be able to help someone else may have to do it. So having those instructions, you may have to hand off your bag to someone. You just never know what the situation is going to be, and we need to be prepared for all sorts of stuff. So I really think that medical supplies are not brought up as much as they should be. They really, it can be so important. When you need it, you need it sometimes. And that's it for today. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.